Hello, this is Julian Lage, and I wanted to share with you a short lesson about a topic I'm very obsessed with, frankly, which is the topic of how we make our improvising feel slightly more multidimensional. Now, that's obviously a very broad topic, but under that umbrella, you have things like counterpoint, you have things like introducing chords to a improvised line, you have double stops, you have emphasis, you have all these tools. And there's one mechanism in particular that I find especially liberating, as far as getting me into that state of mind or into that way of moving on the guitar. To illustrate it, I want to take a 12-bar blues. I'll show you the song I have in mind. It's by Charles Lloyd, the great Charles Lloyd, and it's a song of his called Island Blues. And that's the melody. Now, right off the bat, I have to point this out. This notion of making something multidimensional applies to learning songs as well. In that case, you have the melody. And you have the bass that goes with that. Now, arguably, that bass is a simple part. However, in tandem with the melody, well, it just immediately gets you into a more orchestrational way of playing. And this is something you hear in all the masters, everyone from Jim Hall to Chet Atkins to, Ralph Towner, everybody. So this thing we're talking about, this desire we're talking about, can be found everywhere. But I had to point out that even the bass and the melody is enough to create that extra sense of interest. Now, let's talk about that mechanism I was referring to before when we get to the solo. Very simply put, here's the deal. When you play a line on the guitar, often we play the notes with a similar note duration. So you go. It's everything's kind of short and connected, or if it's all legato, it's all legato. But one thing you can do is you can merge legato with staccato, and a very simple example of this would be a line. We'll do almost with the scale. So going up, each note is heard separately and clearly. And upon landing on that A, I just leave my finger there and keep moving down the scale with the other fingers. Let me try to give you an example that's more in the wild. Let's see if I can get there. So I'm purposely kind of just shoving it in wherever I can. But one thing that I find interesting about it is that in order to make that feel like an event, this moment where you land on a note and you just leave your finger there and essentially wiggle your fingers, beyond the end of that phrase, one of the things that helps is if you can differentiate the volume of those two lines. In other words, if I go like this, if I play everything the same volume, you can kind of hear that I'm holding a note, but you also you're kind of competing with the ascending line. In other words, this is the same volume as the one coming down. Nothing wrong with that. It's really cool. However, another angle is that whenever you land on a note, whatever follows that, you can tuck the volume of so that it feels kind of like a more of like a commentary. Does that make sense? So you'd have. So by making the response quieter, you actually retroactively give the impression that the first line was the call and here's the response. Again, nothing new or nothing that you don't hear all the time, but as it applies to the guitar, it's kind of a nice tool to unlock not only the conceptual framework that, oh, a solo can have multiple things going on, but also it teaches you how to have the agency to play one thing, hold something, facilitate another line. It's very liberating. So I hope this helps, or at least shed some light on something that's of interest to you. And, with great humility, I just say thank you. And be well, everybody. See you next time.